Okay, let's do it.
Cool. All right.
You count us down.
20, 19.
No.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Hello.
Wow.
And what, are you proud of yourself for that? Are you
kind of
proud that
am.
you did it like that? No. Let's try it again.
Wow.
With a classy 3, 2, 1.
All right. 3, 2, 1.
Hello and
welcome to Sort of the Story.
Oh, that wasn't very good at all. I'm Janey.
I'm Janey.
I'm Max. Okay, here's the problem. We are recording over remote so that we could do this live, and there's a lag, so neither of us know when the other one's going to talk.
But that's okay. We'll fix it in post, right?
No, there's no way. There's literally no way. However, the video will be available if you want to see us flopping. Welcome, guys, to the podcast.
Welcome to the podcast.
This is the podcast where we tell each other stories like fairy tales, folk tales, and mythology. And also you are here. Welcome.
I was just looking at all the live comments and everyone was saying, and we are also here at the
You
same time.
guys are also here.
Very, very cute.
So the deal is that we are recording live because it is episode 150 and we wanted to hang out with you guys. So if you were on the Discord or a member of the Patreon, then you get a link that leads you here. And we're happy to have you.
And if you're not on those things, then you're probably hearing this recorded in the public release. And if you'd like to be a part of things like this in the future, you can join us on Patreon. The link for our Patreon is on the show notes for this episode and every episode. At the $3 tier, you get access to the Discord, which means you would have gotten a message about this fun thing that we're doing right now. You're in the future, so it's not right now for you. But yeah, we'll do them again in the future, probably. I don't know. I'm not a fortune teller. Or for $7, you can get a full-length bonus episode every single month. It's a full-length, regular, big, beautiful bonus episode, just like our regular episodes, but bigger, bonuser, better, faster, stronger.
Hotter.
Longer. Cooler.
Yeah.
Woker.
Oh, wait, we are so woke in the bonus episodes. We're fairly conservative in the regular episodes, as you guys know. Oh, I can't say that. Oh,
yes.
Because today, Max, I went to Best Buy and I was getting webcams for us.
They're great.
Yeah, I think they're great. They're fine. Mine is brighter than the sun, but we'll get over it. When I was checking out the webcams, the lady that was checking me out was like, so what are you going to use these for? And I told her, I'm recording a podcast. And I decided just to go for it. Sometimes I'm embarrassed about the podcast because then I realize people have to listen to me and that's embarrassing. But I told her, I was like, oh, I'm recording a podcast. And I told her all about it. And she said she was going to listen if I give her a shout out. So here's your shout out, Zeta, which I think is a cool name. Thank you for helping me at Best Buy.
That is a cool name.
That's a 5-star Best Buy review for Zeta.
You're a better person than me because if I was buying 2 webcams and someone was like, what are these for? I'd be like, my husband's leaving for the war.
What?
This is so we could do sex long distance.
I think we should have said one for each of my feet.
Oh.
So they can each have their own stream and they can talk back and forth to each other. It's a weird sex thing.
It is a weird sex thing.
It's one of the weirder sex things.
Yeah. Do you remember those fucking like fever dream commercials that used to be on Nickelodeon where it was like either some hands with like googly eyes on them or like bellies with googly eyes on them and they would like talk to each other?
Yeah, that was fetish content, it turns out. The whole time.
Definitely.
No,
100%.
100%. It turns out that was fetish content. But I used to love the little hand mouth guy. Well, now as I do this at the camera, it just looks like a butthole. Anyway, I'm doing something weirder.
You are doing something weirder. That's worse.
So, Max.
So, Janey.
Does an excellent plug for the Patreon. Do you want to tell them? We do have a mini theme for today. Do you want to tell them all about it?
Yes. Oftentimes for our like big mile marker episodes, we'll do a theme of some kind. Like we've done H.P. Lovecraft stories, we've done classic fairy tales and things like that. For this one, we decided to go a different route and we went to our local library. We went to the library in downtown Savannah. I got my library card, my first ever actual library card of my entire life. I'm very excited about it.
Yeah.
And we both went to the folklore section and picked out some folklore books and then found our stories from there. So
The thing is that we both went after work, and it turns out we thought the library was going to be open a whole hour later, and it turns out we were wrong. So I had maybe 25 minutes to look for books, and Max got in with the last 5 minutes and ran and just grabbed books and ran. She checked them out, but still.
I got off of work at 5:30. I drove the 10 minutes to the library. I got there at 5:40. I texted Janey that I was there, and then I walked from the parking spot that I got into the library, which has a huge atrium. So let's say like 4 minutes, 5:44. And then I had to register for a library card, which took probably about 10 minutes. So 5:54 is when I ran into the library up to the stacks where Janey was coming out, and she pointed me at the right stack. And then I grabbed 3 books, flipped through the first couple of pages, said that these are great, and then I left after I checked out the books because I'm a good egg.
You know what's upsetting is that you got books without really even looking at them. I had more time. None of my books worked, and I had to borrow one of your books for today's story. So I'm a little annoyed at that, but that's fine. Our library has served me in many other ways.
I feel like I do, well, we both do it to a certain degree, but I think I do it with more frequency. I like go kind of dumpster diving for folklore books where I'll just go to eBay, search folk tales
what I do on thrift
in the book
books.
section, sort price low to high, baby.
Yeah.
So I've gotten to the point where I can pretty quickly tell like if the tone is right, if the subject matter is right for the podcast and everything like that, which is great because I have so many books that are not right for the podcast. So
Yeah,
you know.
all of my books I've gotten recently have been bad for the podcast. All right, well, that's the theme. It's library books. And we hope you like it.
Also, just a quick plug. Go to your local library and get a library card. Even if you never go again, that's how they get their funding.
Yeah.
So go do that. Libraries are the fucking best. I know that I am talking as though I didn't just get my first ever adult library card this week, but go do it. Libraries are the best.
They're the best. And with that, Max, you are going first. Do you want to tell me a tale?
I'd love to.
I'm going to try really hard not to interrupt you because we're on a lag, so it'll be like extra awkward.
Oh, this is going to be a boring episode.
If there's any like big laughs, I need you to wait and look at me expectantly, and then I'll know it's time to laugh. I need you to hold up an audience cue card that says laugh, and then I'll do it.
Please laugh.
Do the Jeb Bush please clap, and I'll do it.
Yep.
I'm nothing if not loyal.
Good.
All right. Well, you guys, we were not going to do it for you guys, but for everybody listening to the recording, I'm going to take a 1-second break, and there will be no sound in between, except for possibly me panicking. So, see you in 1 second. Bye.
You look like a chihuahua having an anxiety attack.
I am. I am. I hate the break.
You get really pressed about it.
Is anybody like particularly like good at like what's graphic design for music? Give us a sound.
Sound design?
Sound design. All right, I actually do feel like an idiot. There is a graphic designer for music. Shut up, chat. I just watched the chat go up a little. Shut up. All right. Are you ready?
As ready as I'll ever be. All right. Janey, the story that I have for you today is called The Woman Who Flummoxed the Fairies, an old tale from Scotland.
Cool.
This story is retold by Heather Forrest and illustrated by Susan Gaber. For those of you on the video, here's the book. It's pretty good. Look at the art.
Can you describe the cover
Wow.
for the folks at home?
Well, I guess. The cover is this woman, and she is holding a really big bowl, and she's stirring some kind of batter in a pot with a wooden spoon. And she's looking kind of like, oh, you, at this little green fairy king who's holding a staff that has a rainbow on the end of it, and he has little rainbow wings. And there are a bunch of other little rainbow-winged fairies all gathered around the pot. But yeah, she's just being like, ah, classic.
That's my favorite shape for little cartoon people is when they're just like, the men are just genuinely like blocks, like square blocks, and they have these little tiny little stick legs on either side of the blocks and pointy shoes. I think that's so funny.
Yeah, like they're like shaped like a capital letter D, but like on its back, and then it's like
And then a tiny head and a long beard. That's my dream, man.
You may not like it, but this is the ideal body type. So, The Woman Who Flummoxed the Fairies. First of all, I a lot of people probably know this, but I'm just going to say it. Flummoxed means confused. So confused that you are prevented from doing something. Stymied is another word that means the same thing. Actually, she has a couple of synonyms in here. Flummox is an old word that means to confuse, perplex, surprise, or befuddle. So, the woman who surprised, perplexed, or befuddled the fairies. And I'm going to, just because I'm taking advantage of this as a video medium, I'm going to show you a couple of the illustrations because they're really beautiful. All of the little fairies they're all just these little green guys with little antennae, and they have rainbow colored wings, and they're very precious.
I do like the rainbow wings.
Yes. Yeah, they're very cute. So, long ago, there were fairy folk with little rainbow wings, and every single night they would fly into people's houses and go into their kitchens, and they would dance all over all of their dishes, and they would make little crumb angels on the dinner tables and eat all of the leftover cake crumbs. However, there was one house that they never got to eat the spare cake crumbs from, and that was the house of the baker woman of the village. And this was an issue of great
Flummox.
This was something that
Contempt.
Hang on. Words.
Contempt. Is that the word?
It sounds right, but I don't think that's it.
Bad.
This was an issue. Yeah, this was a bad issue.
It's no
for
good.
The fairies. The fairies, and especially the fairy king, were furious that they never got to taste the baker woman's cakes, because every time they tried to go into her house to eat all of the little crumbs off of her kitchen table, they would find that even the crumbs had been eaten up, because the cakes were so delicious that there was nothing ever left behind.
Do you think this is a euphemism for weird sex stuff?
No. Do you?
I mean, we're allowed to differ in our opinions, I guess. So far, it's hot as hell.
Mother, she ate and left no crumbs.
She left no crumbs, and all the little fairy boys are mad.
They're starving. So, the king of the fairies, furious. Mm-hmm. Finally, one night, he's had enough, and he says, I've got to taste the baker woman's cakes.
Yeah, he does.
Hell yeah. And here's a picture of him losing his patience. Give me them cakes!
Little square guy, little head, pointy feet, stick legs.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Absolutely perfect. So, the king sends all of his little fairy folk, his army of fairy spies, to go into the bushes outside of this woman's house, and they sit and they wait all day, and they watch her, and they try and determine her habits, her activities. They look to see what she does every day, when she's going to be in, when she's going to be out. Real serial killer behavior.
Yeah, this is stalking.
Right? Yes. One day, this little fairy horde that lives outside in the garden temporarily.
Little fairy whore.
No.
One day, this little fairy whore. I'm convinced that you meant to say that.
Yep, sure.
Yeah.
Live your truth. One day, this little fairy horde living outside in the garden hears the woman discussing the fact that she has been requested by none other than the king himself. Not the king of the fairies, but the king of the, I guess, humans. To go to the palace and to bake a cake for the princess's birthday. The fairies hear this and they're like, great, we know when she's going to be gone. And we also know that in order to get to the castle, she's going to have to go through the woods. And she's going to have to pass by the fairy mound.
I have no notes on that. That
Do you have
all
anything to
sounds
say about that?
all sounds great. I'm sorry. Am I supposed to laugh there?
I don't know. I said fairy mound, and usually there's like 73% chance that you're going to say something about fairies. So
you're already talking about fairies.
I know, but a fairy mound. I don't know.
Is this a weird sex thing? Do you want me to? I can talk about their mounds all day. They're bountiful.
The bounty mounds.
The bounty mounds. That's what they call
Yep.
Listen, I gotta do my own process.
So, The baker woman gets to the palace and she starts to work on a beautiful cake for the princess. She makes a cake that is as tall as she is. It's got all kinds of different layers and flavors. She decorates it and it's the most beautiful thing she's ever seen. She spends the whole day on it. And then at the end of the day, she takes off her fine linen apron. She folds it up. She puts it in her pocket. She says goodbye to the king, the queen, and the princess, says happy birthday to the princess, and then says, I've got to get home. I promised my husband and my little baby that I was going to take the shortcut through the woods to get home so I could be back with them sooner. Which really feels like a police officer being like, I'm retiring tomorrow kind of thing. Like,
yeah, this is her. I'm getting too old for this shit. I've got one more day left on the force. Hope nothing crazy happens.
I'm just going to take this shortcut through the woods after bragging about how good my cakes are. Past the fairy mound. It's going to be great. And then I'm going to see my family so soon.
I'm all caked up. Time to head for them mounds. Woo woo! Is that what you wanted, Max?
Yeah, okay. Great. So, it starts to get dark as she is heading home, and she sees little fireflies in the forest around her as she's taking the shortcut through the woods. And then she looks closer and she realizes that maybe they're not fireflies. And then as she's looking at them, she's like, wow, I'm suddenly super tired.
Uh-oh.
And she takes a couple steps off the path and collapses into a nice, warm, plush little mound of grass and falls asleep. The fireflies were fairies, and the fairies put a spell on her to put her to sleep next to the fairy mound because they're kidnapping her.
Thank you so much for spelling that out for us.
Yes. I do have to, I'll show you the illustration for this. I'll just show you the illustration for both. So this is her big cake.
Okay. Oh, that little girl does not need that big of a cake.
She's too small for that
Also,
cake.
I'm sorry. It said it was for her birthday, and she's putting a wedding topper on top of that cake.
You're right.
I ain't fooled. That little girl got flummoxed. She's being married on her birthday. Probably doesn't even know.
But I did want to show you the picture of her sleeping on the fairy mound. Because I can't lie, that looks really comfortable. I would too.
Jealous. Wish I was there.
It should have been me. So the baker woman falls asleep on this nice little patch of grass next to the road. And she's just getting very, very cozy when suddenly she feels the earth open up around her. And she falls down, 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 all the way down. And she crashes in a crumpled, bloody heap onto a marble floor deep below the ground.
A bloody heap.
I assume.
Oh my God.
She picks herself up off of this marble floor and looks up and sees a tiny little golden throne, and on the tiny golden throne, a tiny little fairy king. She says, hello, fairy king. And he says, I want you to bake us a cake.
Give us cake.
We want your cakes. We've heard they're good.
Bake us cake.
Is it true?
Bake us cake.
Give us a cake, please.
I'm not saying please, I'm a king. Bake me cake.
Give us a cake now.
Yeah, that's
like
better.
how kings do.
Every king I've ever met has said exactly that.
How many cakes have you baked for kings?
How many kings have I baked into cakes is what you should be asking. And I'm not allowed to say because of the law.
The law that says that you can't put kings in cakes.
Yeah, I'm not going to incriminate myself.
So the baker woman hears this request. The king of fairies has evidently kidnapped her so that she will bake him a cake, right? And she thinks to herself, she's like, okay, well, obviously I'm going to have to bake him a cake because I'm not going to get out of here otherwise. But if I bake him a cake and then he takes a bite, he's going to find out how good my cakes are. And then they'll never let me go. I'll be stuck here in the world of the fairies forever because my cakes are so good. It's like, all right.
I have this type of confidence all the time.
She's like, ugh. It never occurs to her to make like a not good cake.
She can't. How would you even do that? What would you, like, take the batter and then, like, put a garlic in it? Like, how would you even do that, you know?
It's a really good question.
Garlic cake would probably be great, actually.
I went to that garlic-themed restaurant out in LA, like, 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. It's called the Stinking Rose. Oh, yeah. And everything there is garlic flavored.
The Stinking Rose.
They had garlic flavored ice cream.
That's unfortunate. That's not a good name. That's a butthole.
That's a butthole.
That's just a butthole. That's not garlic. Ooh.
That's a butthole.
And you ate there. Gross, Max.
Hang on. When of garlic you think, and a rose does stink, that's a butthole.
Stinking garlic is a butthole.
Really good. So she thinks to herself, if they have a bite of my delicious, delicious cakes, then they'll never let me go, and I'll never see my husband or my tiny, beautiful, perfect little baby ever again. So she's like, I gotta find a way to get myself out of this. Mm-hmm. So she comes up with a plan on the spot, and she goes to the little fairy king, and she says, okay, I'm going to bake a cake for you. She takes out the little apron that she had folded up and put back into her pocket. She puts it back on, and then she sets to work. She's like, all right, I'm going to bake you a cake. Where's the kitchen? And he's like, it's right over here. Come over here. We got it all ready for you to bake a cake. She looks around and she's like, great. So I need flour and a bowl to make the cake. He's like, we don't have those.
Why'd you invite me here?
That's not the kind of thing fairies concern themselves with. He's like, we got you a kitchen. What else do you need?
Flour, a bowl, a single spoon, perhaps, water,
a lot of things.
Seasonings. I don't know.
She says, okay, so you don't have flour and you don't have a bowl. And the little fairy king's like, well, that's not true. We have a bowl. We just don't have flour. And she's like, okay, can I see the bowl? And he takes out a little bowl from behind his throne, and it's the size of a thimble. And she's like, okay, so I can't make a cake that's that size. It's too small. And also, why would you want me to do that? That's not enough cake.
Also, I'm sorry, what were you using that bowl for? Why is it so well hidden behind your throne? What's its purpose?
It's definitely a foot bath.
He has such tiny feet.
Yeah. He's got one of those foot spa things that everyone gave to their moms back in 2006.
Not me. I don't know if that makes me a bad daughter or not, actually, now that I'm saying it.
You didn't get your mom the Sharper Image foot spa that your dad paid for? So she says, that bowl's too small. I'm not going to be able to make a big cake with it. But how about this? You send some of your fairies up to my house. You can grab the flour that's up there and a bowl, bring them back down here, and then I'll be able to bake you a cake. And the king is like, yeah, all right. Easily said, easily done, he says. He claps his hands, he stamps his foot, and the ground splits open. A little group of fairies flies out and over to the woman's house, where her husband and baby are waiting for her to come home. There's a really beautiful, full spread illustration here. That's her having fallen down. And that's the little fairy king. He's so small. All right.
I'm not going to lie, with the composition of this, and I can't really see the details, part of me thinks that it didn't have to be a full spread illustration. Looks like a lot of clouds in the middle.
Yeah, for sure. So this little group of fairies flies away to the baker woman's house. They look in the window and they see the husband sitting in the kitchen, waiting for his wife to come home. They see the little baby asleep in the crib. They turn themselves invisible. They go into the kitchen and they start to try and pick up this big sack of flour that's inside of the pantry. However, one of the fairies is like, hey, listen, I was on the detail that was assigned to be outside of this house until we could kidnap her. And I'm a little bit of an expert on how she makes cakes. I could probably make one of her cakes myself, but Fairy King doesn't want to hear that, obviously, but whatever.
It's all about branding, okay?
Listen, I get it that it's not the same if I do it, but it just feels like if I'm going to develop this skill, then I would like for it to be appreciated in my professional career.
I feel like we are somehow getting into the territory of justifying him copying her process and then selling it cheaper as his own, which no drop shipping. That's
no.
What?
No.
Okay.
My thought is more so that he didn't have to kidnap her. The fairies could have just watched what she did and then made a fairy cake.
I know. That would be stealing her work. She lives off that work.
I feel like she would have been fine with it, though, if it meant that she didn't get kidnapped.
Yeah, the kidnapping part really is taking precedent over her ideas being stolen, intellectual property theft. So I kind of get it.
So this fairy is like, listen, I know what she does. she's going to need more than flour. All right. She's going to need at least 2 other things to make a cake. So let's take a look through her pantry. I'll tell you guys what she usually uses, and we can take all of the stuff, and then she won't like have to send us back for more cake supplies. So the fairies all scurry off into the pantry, and they get little chunks of chocolate and raisins and milk and eggs and butter and cream and sugar and honey and walnuts. And they're like, this is all things from a cake.
Yeah.
We're going to make
good.
a cake.
A little honey walnut cake? That sounds delicious, actually.
Mm-hmm. With chocolate and raisins.
No, you made it bad with the raisins. Yeah. Actually, she deserved this. I hope she falls down more.
The raisins are really the only thing throwing me off, and I know that makes me sound like I'm 5 years old, but I'm like, ew, raisins, why?
No, that's some next level white people shit. Putting raisins in your chocolate walnut cake. No, thank you.
No,
put pass. Garlic in it, as you should.
Yeah. You stinking rose
on it.
So all of the fairies gather together all of these ingredients off of her pantry shelves, and then they go and get the big bowl, and one of the fairies is like, wait, she also needs something to stir all of the ingredients together with. And they're like, you're so smart and you're so right. So they have this big bowl, and then they decide also to get a big spoon. They're like, great, I think we have everything that we need.
No, they also need a pan to go in the oven.
Shh.
All right.
Mind your business. So these invisible fairies come and steal all of the things from her pantry, and they fly back off to the fairy mound to deliver them to her and the fairy king. Meanwhile, the baker woman's husband is sitting at the kitchen table watching all of the contents of his pantry float away along with the big bowl and their big wooden spoon. And he just thinks to himself, huh. And that's it. Here's an illustration of him thinking to himself, huh.
He definitely recently smoked a lot of weed. He's like, well, okay, so that's normal, actually.
I'm gonna get in trouble for this. Yep.
I can't let anyone know.
It's my secret now.
It's like when you're breaking in to rob a house and then you witness a murder. It's like, well, I can't tell anyone because I'm robbing the house. Or like when your drug dealer steals your money and you're like, damn it. Not like I could say I was buying meth. Not based off of a real example.
So the fairies take all of these ingredients and the big bowl and the big spoon back down to the fairy kingdom to the woman where she is waiting. She puts together all of the ingredients into a bowl, she stirs them up, and she starts to sing a little song. And as she's stirring the batter, she suddenly stops and she says, wait! I cannot bake a cake without my dog. And the fairy king is like, you can't, what? You're gonna make a dog into a cake? That's fucked up. Are you gonna do that for real? Is that real? Are you really gonna bake a dog? Holy shit. You can't bake a dog. Don't do that.
Yeah, this baker's metal as hell.
Damn, she's just out here baking her dog.
She's baking dogs.
And she says, oh, no. I'm not going to bake the dog. You see, my dog is very fat and very sleepy.
Yeah, same.
And he snores. Yeah, he snores very, very loudly, but very evenly. So when I make my cakes, I know that I have to stir at the exact speed that, like, it's 1 stir for every 2 dog snores. And if I get it wrong, then the cake won't rise correctly and it'll be awful. So in order to keep time for this stirring, I need you guys to go and get my dog, bring him down here, let him fall asleep, and then when he starts snoring, then I'll be able to make this cake.
I would also insist that my kidnappers bring my dog to me. That's also something I would want. Yeah. I'll be like, I'll stop screaming if Summer gets to come hang out. Otherwise, no dice. Ugh, and then they bring Leaf. Damn it. Leaf would make everything so much worse. Really they would let us go because of Leaf. They'd be like, get out of here.
What if they took Francis by accident and they brought Francis to you wherever you're being held?
They would pay me money. They would somehow end up paying the ransom to me to take Francis away. Thanks, Francis. Let's go split this at the Red Lobster.
So she makes this request to the king. She's like, go to my house, get my dog, bring him here, and then I'll be able to bake this cake. And the fairy king says, easily said, easily done. And he sends another little group of fairies to her house to go and get her dog. Now she has a big black dog. And all of the fairies get to her house. They see that the husband and the baby and the dog and the cat are all still in the house. And they go and they turn invisible. They go into the house and they start to kind of herd this big black dog out of the house and over to the fairy mound. And then one of the fairies, not one of the ones who was observing the house, to be clear, this is like a different one, but they were like, well, I was actually really impressed when the person was like, I actually know some other stuff that we need to get. So I'm just going to try and hop on that train really quickly. Piggybacking off of what they said, what if she needs her cat also?
No!
You got to think ahead. She might need the dog and the cat, and we don't want to make an extra trip. So let's just take the cat also. We'll take the dog, we'll take the cat, and then maybe, I don't know, maybe the cat also snores. I don't know. But, like, what do you guys think? And all of the other fairies are like, yeah, you know that? Sure. I guess it could be she needs
Good
both.
point.
So we'll just bring both. So the fairies, they sort of like poke and prod the dog until he gets up and starts walking down the road, still like half asleep. This is a very sleepy old dog. And then the fairies are like, well, the cat's small enough. We can just carry the cat. And they all pick up this cat. And the cat starts screeching and yowling. And they're like, shut up, shut the fuck up. And they fly off carrying this screeching, yowling cat down the path back to the fairy mound. Meanwhile, the baker woman's husband is sitting at the kitchen table still, and he's like, what the fuck?
He's like, this is the worst trip I've ever been on.
So they take the dog and the cat back to the fairy kingdom. As soon as they get in, the dog curls up next to the baker woman and starts to snore, and she starts to stir the big bowl and make the cake again. Meanwhile, the cat races around the fairy kingdom screeching, and the fairy king's like, why did you bring this? This was a bad idea.
Leaf is my cat, and he would do exactly this. He's very bad.
Yes. So she finishes stirring this cake to the cadence of her dog snoring loudly. Vibes, same.
That's a slow stir.
Yeah.
Like, dogs slow snore. Yeah. 1, 2. Oh, wait, no, I was doing 1 per snore. You have to do 1 per every 2 snore. That's wild.
Yeah, real slow.
Guys, are you doing it at your house? Are you trying to figure it out?
So she finishes stirring the cake and she's about to pour it into a pan when she says, wait, stop. I cannot bake a cake when I'm worrying about my child.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sure. It kind of seems like she wasn't worried about her child until just now. She's like almost done and she's like, wait, I have a kid. Oh no. Fuck.
I forgot. I'm very concerned.
Oh no. She says, you must go to my house and bring me my wee babe.
Yeah, bring me the bab.
Bring the bab. And the fairy king says, easily said, easily done. And he claps his hands and sends another group of fairies back to her house. The fairies fly all the way back to her house and they gather around this little baby. They all go invisible and they start to pick this baby up out of the crib and fly it out the window. And I just want to show you these 2 pictures really quickly. So this is the picture of the fairies stealing the cat and dog. And I love this crazy baby. Look at that crazy baby.
We can't really see the baby's face. It's just like a round moon. It looks like an open mouth. Is it smiling?
Hard to say.
Is that a plant or like a big bowl of lettuce?
I think it's a coleus.
Sure.
Based on the
Flummoxed.
coloration. Did you learn the word flummoxed today?
No, but I like the explanation.
So that's the picture of the dog and cat being stolen. And then here's the picture of the baby being stolen. And kind of up until now, the husband's like, okay, what? And he's like, oh, shit.
This guy's having the worst night of his life. This is all
He
so
really is.
overwhelming.
So the fairies come and they steal this little baby. They fly the baby all the way back, and they get like most of the way, and then they're like, she probably doesn't need just that. Like, she's probably also worried about her husband, right? So they go back and they go to the husband and they pick him up, and he's like, what the fuck is happening? And they fly him down the road with the baby back to the fairy mound. They get all the way back down into the fairy kitchen. The fairy mound opens up. They toss the baby and the husband into the hole.
Oh no! You can't throw a baby into a hole. That's how Jessica got stuck in the well.
Who?
Baby Jessica? She got stuck in a well. I don't want to brag. Go ahead.
Are you? Who's Jessica?
Baby Jessica? It might be Baby Jessica. She goes
sure, of well fame.
She is of well fame. Max. Baby Jessica. She got stuck in a well.
Sure. Yeah.
She got stuck doing the up, like the splits, like one leg up here next to her ear and one down. There's a teeny.
Why was she doing
well.
the splits in a well? That seems like that might be on Jessica.
Wait, well, it's important we don't blame Jessica. All right, people. God forbid a woman have hobbies.
So the fairies drop the husband and the baby into the fairy mound. He sees his wife in a big, tiny fairy kitchen. All around her are candles, and there's a little fairy king who's looking very impatient behind her, and she's like got a big bowl ready with a bunch of cake dough. And she sees that her family has been deposited here, and she turns to the fairy king and she says, "Thank you, king. I was just about to ask for my husband as well."
Thank you, king.
Thanks, king. And the fairy king is like, "Well, I would have said no because you're asking for too much stuff, and I'm tired of doing errands for you. So make me a cake because I'm fucking sick of it." And she's like, "All right, well, let's calm down. We're all good now. I'm finishing up the cake." So and she's like, "Let me just say hello to my husband and baby, and then I'll finish up your cake." So she goes over and she hugs.
You're being really weird about this cake.
She goes over to her husband and she gives him a hug and she says, "Oh, husband." And then she leans into his ear and she whispers in his ear, "Pinch the dog." And he's like, "What?" This poor man, blazed out of his mind, was just stolen from his house by fairies and dropped into a hole in the ground. And his wife is like, "Pinch the dog." And he's like, "Is this a riddle?"
He's like, "I'm having the weirdest dream right now. Wake up. Somebody pinch me."
And he's like, "Pinch the dog." And she's like, "Yes, pinch the dog." And he's like, "Okay." So she turns back. She turns back to her cake batter and finishes preparing it. And he steps over to where the dog is sleeping. And he sort of casually leans down and pinches the dog. And the dog jumps up and yelps and starts running around and howling because he immediately has the zoomies.
You know what would have been easier and less cruel? She could have leaned in and been like, "Knock on the door." or like pretend that you're going into your own house and you're the neighbor. Dogs hate that. You don't have to pinch him. There's easier ways to make dogs mad.
Very true.
You know, all I did today was I let Francis outside and he realized that next door has a dog. It wasn't even outside. He lost his mind. That other dog wasn't outside.
He does
Francis
that
went over.
day.
He like threw himself against the fence like, "I'm going to fucking get you." Dogs are stupid and they're mad all the time.
That might just be
them.
Francis.
That's just Francis. That is true.
So at the same moment that the baker woman's husband pinches the dog, the baker woman herself walks past the cat and very carefully, very gently, lightly steps her toe on the cat's tail. And the cat jumps up and screams.
Yeah, you've done it now.
There you go. So the cat is screaming and the dog is howling and they're both running around furiously. And the baker woman's husband is like, "No, no, no." And the baby starts crying. And the baker woman's like, "Oh my gosh." And all the little fairy folk fall to the floor clutching their ears because if there is one thing that the baker woman knows, it is that, quote, "Fairies don't like noise."
That's not... How come they're always fucking singing and stuff?
It's not noise, that's singing.
Not the way I do it. I love that she was like, "Just make yourself a nuisance."
Yeah, just be really annoying.
I need them to see what my regular life is like, and they're going to be like, "Never mind, we don't want her." Like, your life is awful.
all the fairies are screaming, and the fairy king is like, what's happening? And she walks over to the baby, and she's like, oh, my baby must be hungry. Could you give me that bowl and that spoon? And she, like, grabs the bowl and spoon from the fairy king and gives them to the baby, and the baby starts screaming and, like, banging the spoon on the bowl. Just flinging porridge everywhere and making a huge mess. This is another full spread illustration of the chaos.
This is a great full spread illustration. Oh, I like the baby in the corner. He's like huge.
Yeah. It's a fucked up baby.
Yeah, that baby is messed up. Ooh, the dog. I like it.
I don't want to be rude, but that baby's fucked up.
Yeah. This is a little bit of a description of what it's like for me to go to work every day.
Also, look at the poor fairy king. He's had a rough night.
Oh, he's got some stuff on his head. Oh, yeah, he looks hot as hell. Look at that square man.
Wow. Look at that square man. So everyone is howling and screeching and screaming and banging pots and pans together. And the baker woman shouts over the din to the fairy king. And she says, King, where's the oven?
King.
And the king's like, what's an oven?
Oh, no.
He says, we don't have an oven here. And she says, well, then I guess you're going to have to take care of my husband, my dog, my cat, and my baby while I go back to my house to bake the cake. So, open the door. I'll go take care of it, and I'll be back with your cake in a little bit. And the fairy king says, absolutely not. All of you have to leave immediately. You cannot leave them with us. We do not want them. Shouts the fairy king. No. Take all of them and their noise home with you. And she says, certainly, and I'll bring back the cake when it's done. What's more, if you leave me be, I'll bake you a cake whenever you ask for one nicely.
Yes. Right.
It's at this moment that the fairy king realizes he never actually asked if he could just have a cake. He went straight to kidnapping.
Yeah. Well, cake is important, so I do get it. But manners were learned.
Yes. It's important to ask before you kidnap someone.
Yeah, consent.
Yes, important. Otherwise, it could be a crime.
It could be. Not always. It's a case-by-case basis on kidnapping.
So the king claps his hands and the ground opens up and the wife and her husband and her baby and the cat and the dog all take this big bowl of cake mix back to her house. They go back through the woods, they get to the house, and she puts the cake into the oven. It cooks until it's a beautiful golden brown. She takes it out, she tests the top of it with a knife so you can hear the little like they do with bread in those cooking videos.
Yeah, that's good.
And the husband's like, oh, delicious cake. And she's like, have you been here this whole time? This cake is for the fairies. If I don't bring this cake to the fairies, they're going to kidnap us again. And the husband's like, okay, but like, couldn't you bring them like half of a cake and like leave half of it here?
Yeah, they're so small.
And she's like, no, I promised the fairies a cake and that's a terrible idea. Go eat something and then lay down. I can't handle you right now.
I love that her husband was part of the nuisance. She's like, I will bring him back here. He's so loud and stupid, apparently. You really want to deal with this?
I do. This story really does give me the impression that he is absolutely high the entire time. Where he's just like,
he seems so high. Yeah, he's just watching things fly around. He's like, interesting. He's so hungry. Huh. He doesn't understand
Someone's
deals.
Taking all the food.
And the baby. It's not good.
Oh, that's my baby.
More importantly, my food.
So the baker woman takes this beautiful fresh cake. She carries it out through the woods to the little green hill, and she sets the cake down. She looks away for just a moment. She thinks she sees like a little rainbow flicker out of the corner of her eye, and she looks away. And when she looks back, the cake is gone. And in its place is a chunk of fairies' gold.
Good. Fool's gold. Probably not good.
She picks up the gold, she admires it, she puts it in her pocket, and she thinks to herself, because she's very smart, she knows fairy rules. She's like, if I keep this for just myself, it will turn into ash. So I've got to give at least some of this away. That's fairy rules. And the last line of the story is, for fairies, gold, they say, is like love or knowledge or a good story. It's most valuable when it's shared.
Aw.
Yeah. Very cute.
That's lovely. Yeah, that was really sweet. That was a good story. Oh, she's beautiful. Oh, her husband doesn't deserve her. Look how hot she is. No. He can't even keep a baby in the house. Meanwhile, she's clearly the breadwinner and the bread maker.
Yeah. And the baby
And
maker.
she's hot. Oh my God. She makes everything. And all he does is get high and want cake.
Here's him chasing the baby through the woods.
Okay, I kind of love him now. I'm back on his side. That's funny.
This poor guy. Honestly,
I take back what I said.
He's useless, but in a way that I love. Like, you just don't know anything. Who let you out?
Max, that was wonderful.
And that's that story.
That was a very wholesome story.
It was a cute one, I thought. So I actually forgot to talk about the things from my notes, so that's fun. I'm just going to do that really quickly. Heather Forrest, PhD, the person who wrote this version of the story, is a storyteller, author, and musician. Okay. She calls herself, in the bio on her website, a modern-day bard, which I didn't know that was an option. Something was fucking wrong with my high school career counselor that they didn't offer me that possibility.
No, they weren't like, you can be a bard. Actually, mine were like, you can totally be an actress. Don't take math. So mine kind of were like that. Thanks, Missouri.
That's really bad. She is the awardee of the 2021 Talking Leaves Award for her contributions to storytelling. She has her master's in storytelling from East Tennessee State University, which, master's in storytelling.
I want that.
Yeah. A PhD in leadership and change from Antioch University. She is also the founder and executive director of Story Arts, which is a cultural organization in Huntington, New York that presents storytelling concerts and workshops in schools, theaters, and community centers in the Long Island, New York area. She is also the author of one of the more well-known books of the story Stone Soup.
Oh.
So if you've seen like the children's book Stone Soup, there's a pretty good chance that the one that you've seen is hers. This story is based on a Shanachie story from Durris near Aberdeen in the Scottish Highlands. Shanachie is a Scots word that is kind of a job title. It's specifically the name for storytellers in like Scottish culture. And they're considered, it's kind of like, it's similar to a bard, where it's someone whose entire job is to collect and tell stories and to be a performer of stories. They are characterized as storytellers and the custodians of history in Scotland and Ireland, because if you think about it, like a lot of storytelling and a lot of history for a very long time was oral. So these were kind of like elders who were very highly respected for their ability to recount stories and retell them in a way that was engaging and that helped to contextualize things for people who were in very different areas of Scotland and Ireland.
Yeah. Neve's I just opened the chat while you're talking. Neve says we have the same word in Irish, so that's fun. Stone soup from Mouse.
Stone soup.
Ham says, I want this job.
I also want this job. I'll fight you for it.
You have to fight Max. There can only be one.
There can only be one.
Good job, Max.
Thanks. Usually we take a break. Do we want to take a break and catch up on the comments and maybe I'll make a mimosa?
Yeah. Let's catch up on the comments.
Yes.
Here, you want to go make your mimosa and also me a mimosa and make a mimosa and then I'll just wait here, I guess. That's a break.
Yeah.
Guys, we're going to take like a 2-minute break because you know what? I've been drinking 2 beverages this entire time, so I guess it's about that time for me as well. Okay. We're going to take like a 2 or 3 minute break. We'll be right back. Are you ready, Max?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna be staring at myself the whole time. I'm like a cockatoo. Like I just if I'm here, I'm not gonna be able to focus, and I'm really sorry.
My thing is that you're like right down here, like in this side towards the side. So like my eyes are just like down, and every time I look down, I've been told I look very sad. Like every time I'm just like looking down, not focusing on anything, people have asked me like, "Are you okay?" So I'm like also trying to consciously like keep my mouth in like a neutral position. Otherwise it like goes full jowls and I'm just like, like I got resting, very devastated face. My face says, like, she just got bad news. Somebody is sick.
Resting devastation face.
Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah. Hang on. Did it work?
Did you see a fairy?
No. I was trying to do a... My neutral face, I think, looks very alarmed.
Do it. Why are you looking up? Your neutral face is just like... This isn't interesting. Let's do the podcast.
Are you comfortable?
Yeah, I feel great. Thank you. Okay, Max. You better goddamn really say your line. Say your line! We can never do a video
but I do look really cute right now.
You look super cute right now. No, that's true. Your background is perfect. Yeah. You're looking really, really cute.
Thank you.
Can I continue?
Yes.
Where's the compliment for Janey? Somebody in the chat mentioned
Janey,
the
your hair looks so big right now.
It's the biggest hair you've ever seen. Thank you. Okay, Max.
Okay, Janey.
Max, okay. My story comes from a book that you found at the library. There's a bug in here. It comes from a book that you found at the library. It's called Czech Fairy Tales. These are all by Karol Jaromír Erben and Bosenia Nemkova. And I said that perfectly. There's no notes. This is the book. Both of those authors are the original authors from the 1800s. So these were gathered from both of these folklorists. So I'm fine with it being by them, because it technically is. The story I'm going to give you today, it's called Long, Broad, and Sharp Eyes.
Oh, I really like, this is obviously Czech, like, formerly, like the Czech Republic now, formerly Czechoslovakia.
Yeah.
I know this because I've also seen the title of the book because I got it at the library because I'm very good at finding books.
You're so good at finding books.
But I also really want a t-shirt that says check your fairy tales before you wreck your fairy tales, but it's spelled Czech.
Absolutely. Yeah, done. And then it has some of our classic characters. This story is from like Bohemia, basically. This is the Bohemian fairy tale.
Lovely.
Long, broad, and sharp eyes.
How long is she?
Pretty long. And also pretty broad. All right. This is by Karol Jaromír Erben. There once was an old king, and he only had one son. And this really bummed him out because he realized, I'm not going to live forever, and that's news to me. And I just realized my son is old as hell, and he's not married. So like, oh no, who's going to be king when I'm dead? I guess you have to be married in order to be king. So he called the prince to him, and he said, quote, "My dear son, you know well that the ripe fruits fall to make space for other fruits. My head is also ripening. I got a real ripe head. Maybe the sun will not shine long upon it. Before you bury me, I would like to see my future daughter, your wife. Marry, my son. Marry." End quote.
That's incest.
I got a real ripe head, and I want to see my daughter, your wife.
I want to see my daughter marry my son.
I'm fruit. Dad, you're so old. You really shouldn't be in power anymore. You're making all the decisions for the country, and you think that you're fruit and that your head is ripe.
Do you ever have a headache that feels like maybe you're overripe? You know what I mean? That's actually a really good descriptor.
All of my headaches feel like somebody's hitting me in the head with a metal object. Is that the feeling you're describing? Are we on the same page about that, or?
You know those like sinus congestion headaches where it feels like someone's inflating a balloon inside of your skull?
Yeah.
No?
Yeah.
Yeah. That feels like what an overripe head would feel like, I think.
So he tells his son, go out, get married. My head is ripe. The son listened to all of this, and he told his dad, like, yeah, I'd love to get married, but, like, who am I going to marry? I don't even know a woman. Never seen one. This whole kingdom is a real sausage fest. Like, it's actually weird. Do Germany. I have a mom? Yeah, they're in bratwurst. His dad smiled and was like, my son, you don't know anything.
Or anyone.
Real stupid. He's like, I can get you a girl today. And his son's like, how? And then his dad smiled kindly and pulled a golden key out of his bucket. He handed it to his son and said, Go up to the tower, to the highest floor. Look around there and tell me which one you would like.
Which woman who's in a room
Which
upstairs that's locked?
human woman? Yeah. So the prince was like, oh my God, is it my birthday? Is it Christmas morning? This is great. And he scampered his way up the stairs. He had always wondered what was in that tower, and now he was going to finally figure it out. Apparently it was human women. Oh boy. He unlocked a small iron door in the ceiling that was more like a trap door. So it's like one of those doors that you push up on. And he pushed it open, and he entered a large round hall. The ceiling was as blue as the sky on a clear night, and there were silver stars glittering all over it. And the floor was covered in a silky green carpet, and he's like, this is nice up here. All right.
And there were women there?
Okay. Around the hall, Max, there were 12 high windows, each framed in gold. Each window had a crystal glass on which a maiden was portrayed in rainbow colors, each wearing a royal crown. They were all dressed differently, and they were all beautiful. So the prince was just kind of dumbstruck. He's walking around looking at all these girls. He's like, wow. And then all the maidens started to move, and they started to like wave at him. Smile as if to say, pick me, release me from this hell.
Oh no, this is just like in the Barbie movie? No, that's not what happens. Toy Story 2?
This is exactly what happens in the Barbie movie. You caught me. I'm retelling you Greta Gerwig's The Barbie movie.
Thank you.
You're welcome. But he noticed in a corner there was one window that was covered with a white cloth, as if somebody was saying, hey, don't look at this window. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So he pulled the cloth down to look at that window.
Men!
Stupid men. He saw a maiden dressed all in white. She was girded with a silver belt with a pearl crown on top of her head. She was clearly the most beautiful maiden in the room. But she also looked sad and pale, like she was rising from the dead. He keeps calling her, like, the one that looks dead.
He's looking for a big titty goth girlfriend, is what I'm hearing.
He wants a big titty goth girlfriend, and he finally found her.
In the dark, aptly.
Yeah, sad. He stood staring at her for a long time before saying, quote, I want to have this one and no one else.
Wow.
This one. It's romantic. So.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as he said this, the maiden blushed and bowed her little head, and all the other paintings disappeared as if to say, well, fine, we didn't like you anyway. He went downstairs and he told his father the good news. He was going to marry that one sad white girl. Hurrah! And now it was his dad's turn to look really sad because his son had been an idiot. That painting had been covered up for a reason.
Is that his mom?
Oh my God, what if it was his mom?
Like a Back to the Future situation?
Yeah, and now he's his own grandfather.
Ugh.
Okay, that painting had been covered up for a reason. That maiden was under the power of an evil sorcerer who was keeping her locked up in the Iron Castle. Lots of people wanted to marry her, but everyone who had ever tried had never returned home again. And the king was like, did I not mention my ripe head? I don't got a lot of time, son. I was really hoping you'd just get married and not leave me to go die somewhere. But the prince had spoken the magic words. I want that one.
And no other, daddy.
No other, daddy-o, which meant that he was now magically bound to try to rescue her. The king told his son, okay, go try your luck. Come back healthy, please, because there's no one else to inherit the kingdom. And so he gave him his blessing, sent him on his way. The prince mounted a horse and went looking for his bride. But he immediately met his first obstacle because he ran into the forest and then immediately just got lost in a big forest. And he was like, oh, I don't know how to navigate. There's no markers in here. Have I ever been outside alone?
They don't teach orienteering at Prince School. Princeton, I guess.
Princeton. He went to Princeton, so not bad, but it's no Harvard. He walked around and around, having absolutely no idea how to navigate around a bunch of trees. He's like, every tree looks the same. This is a stupid design. When suddenly he heard someone yelling out, hey, wait for me! The prince looked back and saw a very tall man running toward him. A very tall man. You turned on, Max?
How tall?
Tall enough.
For what?
To party. Okay.
Between 5 and 7 feet? Or like 15 feet. How tall are we talking here?
Probably normal. Okay, the prince looked back and saw a very tall man running toward him. The man told him that he wanted to go with him. He said, quote, "If you take me into your service, you will not regret it." And the prince was like, "Okay, first of all, who are you? And why are you so useful?" And the man replied that his name was Long and that he could stretch. And then to prove this, he pointed at a bird's nest and was like, "See that bird's nest? Watch this." And then he rapidly stretched as tall as the tree. And then he grabbed the nest and he shrunk down again. There's like a mama bird up there like, "Oh, my babies."
Everything I had is gone.
Wow, all my stuff. I've been robbed. He handed it proudly to the prince and he's like, "How about that?" And the prince stared at the nest for a long time before saying, "Okay, but like, I don't need a bird's nest. I need a way out of this forest." And he threw it over his shoulder. And he heard a little mama bird go, "Ah! No! My babies! Her baby! And all my stuff!"
All of her favorite sticks.
Oh, she like got so much dog hair to like pad the nest. Gone.
Candy wrappers. Give it a little bit of crunch.
Yeah. Little paper clips to give a little spice.
Okay.
Okay. So he's like, "I need a way out of this forest." And Long was like, "Oh, I can do that too. Sorry, why didn't you say so?" And he stretched up and up and up until he was taller than all the trees and he could see the way out. Then he shrank back down again and was like, "Follow me." And he led the prince in the direction of the exit.
The exit.
The exit of the forest. Before long, they were out of the forest and in a wide plain surrounded by gray rock walls and mountains covered with other forests. And Long pointed and said, "Look, my lord, here comes my friend. You should hire him too. He's great." The prince told Long to shout for him to come over. He's like, "Okay, call him over." And Long was like, "Oh, no, my lord, he's so far away. He'll never hear us. Do you not know how shouting works?"
They don't teach that at Princeton.
At Princeton, you're instructed to whisper. Because it's demure.
Princes should be seen and not heard.
Yeah, everyone knows that. That's what William and Harry were told all the time. Instead, Long stretched out until his head touched the clouds. And he took 1 or 2 steps forward, and then he shrank back down. And like one of his steps took him really far because he was tall. This happens in the 2 Princesses of Bamar, too, right?
She has 1,000-league boots.
That's it. Okay, never mind. This guy is just big.
It's the next book.
This happens in that one story.
Yes. We've heard a story like this before.
This is the Bob White story. The Bob White story has a guy that stretches out.
Is it not the guy who builds the ships?
It is, but that's the episode title. I think it's like Bob White.
Okay.
And that's the origin of Bob White is from that story. I don't remember the name of the story.
Bob White.
Bob White. Okay, so the guy had stretched out. He took 2 or 3 steps forward, then he shrank back down. He didn't shrink down. He stayed tall. He picked up his friend and he brought him back to where the prince was waiting, and then he shrank down. This man was stout and he had a big belly. Now, I'm going to show you the illustration. It's a little bit of a spoiler, but I need you to see how much I hate this illustration with a passion, Max. This illustration makes me so uncomfortable that I need to share it immediately.
I'm so excited.
Oh, it's so... You might not be able to see it. Oh, it's so bad. Hold on.
Oh, no!
The worst thing I've ever seen.
Why is he wearing a cup?
His cheeks, nose, and chin are all the same red as his crotch and his knees and his shoes. And he looks smug as hell.
Whew.
I also, less importantly, I don't like the way that they drew this guy's butt.
I don't like anything about him. I don't like that his hat is too small for his head. I don't like his feet. I don't like his butt. I don't like his ankles. I don't like his big finger. What the fuck is up with that guy? Let's not even get started on that guy. That guy looks like his mouth doesn't open.
I just lowered the illustration so you can see the tall man lurking in the back.
That's
the illustrations in this book are They're consistent, but they're so terrible. Not terrible and like technically bad, because honestly they're great illustrations, but they're so bad.
They're very kind of like Roald Dahl, but grosser.
Yes, that's exactly it. They're so stylized. So like, again, they're good illustrations. This is clearly a great illustrator, but that's the most uncomfortable thing I've ever seen in my life. He's not a villain.
Why did they have to put neon lights around his dick like that?
They put our head straight towards his dick. Anyway, I really needed you to see that. Ever since I saw this story, I couldn't stop reliving that. The prince asked, "Who are you and what can you do?" to that gross man.
Rude.
And the big man said, "My name is Broad and I can widen."
And I put out on the first date.
Good for you. The prince said, "Okay, prove it." And Broad said, "Lord, flee, fast! Run, my lord, run! Get out of here! You need to go!" And the prince is like, "Jesus Christ, what's going on?" And then the story says, quote, "Then he began to swell."
JD, I made you watch Big Trouble in Little China, right?
No.
Have I not?
Every time you say this, guys, how many times has she done this on the podcast where I say I haven't watched it, Max goes, "What?" At least 3 times now. I would never watch it without you. So the fact that we haven't watched it together.
I love that movie so much. It's so batshit crazy. There's a scene in it where a guy gets so angry that he just starts to inflate and then he explodes.
What? I assumed it was a normal movie.
You were
Is there
wrong.
magic in it?
You were so wrong. You fundamentally
That's wild.
misunderstood
I
the
would've-
premise of Big Trouble in Little China.
All right.
That movie's buck wild, dude.
Okay, well, I'm excited to watch it one day. Hold on, I went to the chat because since we were taking a tiny break, I wanted to see what everyone... Old Hag says, she asks at least every other episode if I've seen Big Trouble in Little China. Amanda says we should watch it together. Everyone else is upset about Thick Boy Bob, is what they're calling it.
I don't like it.
Nobody likes his hair. They said put Boner Bob away. His name is Broad, not Bob.
It's Broad White. Not
Everyone's so upset about him.
You probably know his sister Flat White.
Sounds delicious. Okay, are we ready? Let me go ahead and move on. As soon as I showed the picture, I just watched the chat go ding 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 ding. It's like I gotta know.
Hang on. Gayfay Ethan says, "Read my Bob White fact. Bob Whites are called Bob Whites because their call sounds like they're saying Bob White." We knew that actually from that episode, but that's a good note. We learned that. We had to Google that. We were like,
Bob White.
why is this bird calling for a man named Bob White? But it's a good note. It is good.
It is pretty good.
Monkey Maiden says their cousin White Claw.
Hey, I love that guy.
Their other cousin White Fang. Oh, and their terrible uncle, a white man. No.
Okay, so then he began to swell. The prince, at first, didn't know why he needed to run. He's like, "Stop yelling at me. I'm not used to this. They don't do this at Princeton." But he noticed immediately that Long was running away, so he spurred his horse and started galloping after him. He's like, "If Long is running, then I'm running." If he hadn't, Max, Brad would have crushed him to death with his stomach as he grew. The story is rude to Broad.
That's the Broad way.
And that's amore. Quote, "Suddenly, he was everywhere, as if a mountain had rolled up there." End quote.
Where?
This story is written weird. There's a lot of, obvious translation mistakes in this story. Broad stopped swelling and shrank down again, and then the prince and Long came back. The prince said, "You have made me run." Which is fair. That is heinous.
also what I would say.
It was really rude. Yeah, excuse me. But also, he said, "But I do not find such a fellow every day. Come along with me. I'll forgive you for that running thing." Don't ever do that again, though, or it's off with your head.
Really quickly, Pumpkin Maiden says, "When the Broad hits your eye with his stomach so wide, that's a Broad White."
That's a Broadway.
That's a Broadway.
And that's a Broadway. The three rode on for a bit until the two servants said, quote, "Oh, it's our other friend." Oh, I'm sorry, that's not a quote. This is me editorializing. The three rode on for a bit until the two servants said, "Oh, that's our other friend over there. Definitely hire him too. He's super helpful. You'll love him." The man they were pointing at was wandering around next to a rock. And then he turned around and the prince saw that his eyes were like completely covered with a handkerchief. Like he had like just a handkerchief wrapped around his eyes. Like he was like in an old timey like Civil War movie.
Hot.
And yeah, hot. Actually, this one is hot. The prince looked at him skeptically and then like turned back to them and he was like, that guy looks maybe like he can't see anything. Like, we bringing him with us? Because I'm kind of on a mission here. And they were like, no, trust us. Trust us. It's pretty
But, like,
good.
why is he hanging out by that rock?
Maybe that's his friend. Don't judge. So the prince turns to the man and he says, "Who are you? And also, why are you all tied up like that? Can you not see? What's the deal?" Prince doesn't have any manners. They didn't teach that at Princeton. The man told him, "On the contrary, I see too much, and that is why I have to tie up my eyes." Duh.
Just like Cyclops.
He's just like Max.
His seeing is too strong.
Max. Listen to the rest of this. The man explained that when his eyes were tied up, he could see just like everyone else. But when he untied them, he could see through everything, which is your least favorite trope. He said, quote, "When I look at something sharply, I set fire to it, and what cannot burn breaks into pieces. That is why my name is Sharp Eyes." He's Cyclops.
I may have said this on the podcast already, but one of my favorite facts in the entire world, the whole wide world, and I say that with confidence, is that Cyclops, the X-Men character, initially they were like, he's got laser eyes, and then it was like, oh, he could actually hit people with them and not burn through them. So it's actually like not lasers, it's like force, right? And then like the force sometimes like busts through things and catches them on fire. And then a bunch of people were like, how the fuck does that make sense? And they were like, it's like, you know, it's like kinetic energy. It's like the, like, you know, like just the power of force, basically. And they were like, okay, but where does it come from? And why wouldn't, like, if it's kinetic energy, why wouldn't he shoot in the opposite direction when he fires his eye lasers? And they were like,
yeah,
because he's making the lasers. And they're like, okay, but like energy can be neither created nor destroyed. So like, no. And then the response was that the reason why Cyclops has his eye beams is because his eyes open a portal into an alternate dimension where everything is kinetic energy. So his eye beams, so his eye beams open a portal into a kinetic energy dimension, and kinetic energy is the force that you feel. It's the force of force, right? So like if you push someone, that's like kinetic energy produced by you that is like running into them. So the fan term for the dimension that Cyclops opens a portal to with his eyes to create his eye beams is they call that the punch dimension.
The punch dimension.
The punch dimension where everything is punch because it's all just kinetic energy.
Oh, I don't want to go to the punch dimension.
I tell Francis that I'm going to send him to the punch dimension all the time.
You do say that.
That's the punch dimension.
So, they have met Cyclops. Otherwise, like, aka his name
Scott
is
Summers.
Sharp Eyes.
Oh.
James Marsden. Hot. Smash.
No.
To demonstrate. You wouldn't smash James Marsden? We don't have time. Let me...
No!
Why?
He's got musical face.
Chat. Get her! Destroy!
Also, Cyclops is a big old pussy, so...
He is. No, Cyclops is the worst one. But James Marsden is great.
He's fine.
He turned to a rock to demonstrate, and he untied the handkerchief. He focused his fiery eyes, and the rocks began to crack, and pieces started to fly off on all sides. In a moment or two, there was nothing left of the rock but a heap of sand, with something like fire glittering in it. Sharp Eyes walked up, like the hot guy he is, and then picked up the thing glittering inside of it and brought it back to the prince. It was pure gold. At which point I want to say, this guy is clearly the most useful, right? Like, there's going to be nobody else useful in this group compared to Cyclops who can make gold.
Did he make the gold or did he find the gold?
I don't know. He can see everything, so he would be able to see if there is gold.
I think he found the gold. I would also say that there are circumstances where the other two would be more useful, such as at a concert, you want broad. You get up to the front, and then he gets broad, and then you just have the whole front area to yourself.
Run! Run! I'm swelling! You better get out of here. He's swelling. You know who they remind me of?
Who?
The uncles from Casper. Fatso, Stinky, and Stretch. That's who they are, except there's no Stinky. There's a Fatso and a Stretch. And I guess Sharp Eye is a Stinky.
Yeah, he can see through anything, but he also has really bad body odor.
So stinky. I love the uncles from Casper. I related to them way more than I did to Casper when I was little.
Concerning.
I did that to all the things, though. I think I, just responded badly to, everything. I loved Miss Trunchbull, and I was weirdly, rooting against Matilda half the time. I was like, I love Trunchbull! Anyway, I still love Miss Trunchbull.
I think this has to be the year that for Halloween you are Miss Trunchbull. I
know. I really want to. But if I go to school dressed like Miss Trunchbull, none of the kids will understand it. Okay.
No, not for school, obviously. For adult Halloween.
For
hang out.
Like a sexy good time. Oh, you're totally right. Yeah. Guys, I'm going to be Miss Trunchbull. Do you want to be Matilda?
I'll be Miss Honey.
Okay. You just need a Laura Ashley dress and then you're good. Okay, so Sharp Eyes has proven himself the most useful of everyone. The prince agreed to hire him on the spot, and then he was like, hey, can you look for the Iron Castle and tell me how far away it is? How much longer we have? And Sharp Eyes looked and looked and then spotted the castle, and he was like, oh, it's about 10 days away. And then he looked at the prince and was like, we don't gotta wait 10 days. You have servants. We can get you there today because we know where we're going and we can overcome all obstacles. And the prince was like, okay, cool. Not to be weird, but what's my beautiful bride doing? Which I think is presumptuous. But he's like, what's my betrothed doing? He's a real Lord Farquaad. And Sharp Eyes told him that the maiden was locked in a small chamber in a high tower guarded by a sorcerer. And he's like, what? He put a human woman in a chamber at the top of stairs? That's in a castle? What? Locked? I feel bad for her, actually. The prince then turned around and he said, you, who are good, help me rescue her. And they all cheered hurrah, and they started on their journey. They led him through rocks, mountains, and forests. If they met an obstacle, the 3 servants removed that obstacle. He didn't have to work at all for this journey. And just when the sun was setting, the prince saw the iron castle not far ahead. He walked on the iron bridge, and he entered the gate. And as soon as the sun was completely set, the iron bridge rose up on its own, and the gates closed behind them, trapping the 4 men inside, like a real Nosferatu. Max and I saw Nosferatu.
It was really good.
Yeah, it was pretty good. They saw a stable, and so they were like, I guess I'll go tie up the horse. And so they put the prince's horse in there, and then they went into the castle. Immediately, they noticed, Max, something was off. Everywhere they looked, they saw petrified people. And not really scared people running around. They were physically petrified. Frozen in the act of doing whatever they were doing the moment they were frozen.
Like in the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
Just like that. People were frozen in place as they were talking, drinking, mid-bite of a sandwich. It was awful. They were all petrified. But they also saw, as they walked into a dining room surrounded by petrified people, that there was a table laid out with food for 4 people, and they were like, fuck yeah. Hell yeah, a feast. And then
we're 4 people.
That must be for us. And that chair is very tall, and that chair is very wide, and that chair is on fire. It's for us. They waited around for someone to come serve them. That didn't happen in the story. That's just something that would help to know. They waited around.
Cyclops is the king of hell?
Hot. They waited around for someone to come serve them or to let them know what to do, but no one came. So eventually they all just sat down and started eating. When they had finished, they were like, okay, I guess it's time to go find somewhere to sleep. And they were just getting up when suddenly the door opened and the sorcerer himself walked in. He was an old bald man with a long gray beard that reached the floor, and on his belt there were 3 hoops made of iron. And he was leading a very fair maiden by the hand. She was dressed in white, with a silver belt and a pearl crown on her head. She was also very pale, like a dead girl. And at this, the prince was like, "Oh my god, I know you!" He like stood up like, "That's my lady love!" She's so sad and hot.
I love my dead wife!
I love my hot goth wife. Everything in this story is, again, illustrated horrifically. So I'm going to show you what this guy looks like.
Someone check on him. Also, someone check on her. Honestly, something's going on with the eyeballs in this kingdom that I really don't like.
Their eyes are all like in different directions.
Yeah.
Yeah. These are the petrified people.
Ugh. Oh, that's a beard. Okay.
That guy looks like the Scream. This looks like Edvard Munch's The Scream.
I feel like that has to be on purpose. That's like too close.
Too close. I really like this guy.
I was just going to say, I really like that guy. I also really like the guy on the other side, like the side profile guy.
He's crying. He has tears like streaming down his face. Yeah. Yeah, the illustrations in this book are fucked up. And I like them. Except that I hate them. They make me very uncomfortable. Okay, so the prince immediately jumped up and he started running towards the princess, or the queen, I guess. The maiden. But before he could speak a word, the sorcerer said, "I know why you're here. You want to take this queen away. Well, you can try." And then he like chuckled to himself. And the prince was like, "Okay, I will try." "How?" And the sorcerer said, "If you can guard her for 3 nights so she does not flee, you can have her. But if she gets away from you, you and your servants will be petrified like everyone else in this castle. Ha ha." And then the sorcerer pointed at a sofa and the queen sat on it, and then the sorcerer left. He's like, "Good night." Then he left her alone. You look confused, Max.
No. No.
Thoughts?
Let her get away?
Yeah.
Help her get out? What the fuck?
She's gonna try to run away. This girl is living a harrowing existence. Okay, so the queen, I guess she's a queen, which implies that she's already married, right? For the logic of the story. Anyway, so she's sitting on like a sofa and she's like just staring at a wall and she looks sad. And the prince is like, "Hi, so I noticed you sitting there so beautifully. Can I get your number?" And then she like doesn't respond and she just like gets a little more sad and he's like, "All right. Hey, are you wearing space pants?" And then she like sighs again and he's like, "Not that one." Like, "All right. Hey, did you fall from heaven?" "Okay, not that one. You look so sad." He's like trying to talk to her, but she's ignoring him.
Was your dad an alien?
Was he? Do you know my dad?
Was... Hey, girl. Have I seen you at my dreams?
Have you seen any panties lying around here? Because I seem to have dropped mine.
Do you like my pants? I think they would look better on my floor.
Do you speak German? Because I want to fuck you. Wait, he's bad at this. So none of this, believe it or not, is working. She's still just ignoring him. So eventually he just sits next to her and he's like, "All right, well, we don't have to talk, but I'm not going to fall asleep." So, and that much I can promise you. So to make sure he doesn't fall asleep, he had Long stretch out like a belt and snake around the whole chamber along the walls, right? And he's like, try, get away from that. Broad sat at the door and then swelled up until the whole door was blocked by his body and like not even a mouse could swing through. And then he had Sharp Eyes stand at a column in the middle of the room and act like a guard. So perfect plan. No one was falling asleep. In a short time, they all fell asleep. They slept the whole night like logs. The prince was the first to wake up, and he jumped when he saw the queen was nowhere to be seen. He woke his servants up immediately and was like, "What do I do? This is terrible. Night 1, we failed." And Sharp Eyes was like, "Do not be afraid, my lord. I see her already. There is a forest 100 miles from here. In the middle of the forest, there's an old oak, and on top of the old oak, there's an acorn. The acorn is her. So let Long take me on his shoulder, and we'll get her." So Long was like, "Be right back." And then he lifted his friend on his shoulder, and then he stretched out the window like Elastigirl. One of his steps was 10 miles long, and Sharp Eyes showed him the way. Before long, they were back at the castle, and Long handed the acorn to the prince and said, "Lord, drop it on the floor!" And the prince dropped it, and the queen popped out.
My lord! Drop it like it's hot!
Ow!
My lord, get low!
To the window, my lord! To the wall!
To the wall!
My lord, my
liege!
To the sweat drops down your balls, my lord! My lord, she got them apple-bottom jeans, my lord. And the boots.
And the boots!
The boots!
With the fur!
My lord, it is imperative you know her boots have fur. Okay. You know the whole club was looking at her. Okay, so... He says, drop it on the floor. The prince drops it on the floor, and the queen pops out of this acorn. And just then the sun rose, and the door slams open, and the sorcerer enters the chamber, and he has this, like, sly smile. And he's like, well, fuck. Because he sees her, like, lying on the floor looking confused, like she just tumbled out of a nut.
Post-nut clarity.
She is flummoxed. Okay, so he sees the queen, and he's like, curses! And then crash! One of the iron hoops on his belt cracked open and fell to the floor. To the window. To the wall. At this point, the sorcerer took the maiden and led her away. He's like, get out! We're leaving. The prince had nothing to do for the whole day but walk around the castle and look at all the weird things. He realized that not only were all the people frozen, but all signs of life were missing from this place. There was no grass or flowers in the meadows, there was no leaves on the trees, there was no animals or bugs or like anything wandering around, right? He's like, this is really eerie. He inspected the people statues, and he saw a prince holding a dagger in both hands, as though he were about to cut somebody in half when he was petrified. He saw a frozen knight mid-trip on a doorsill, which is embarrassing.
That's really embarrassing. He didn't even get to the princess. He was just like, oh, fuck.
That would be me. And then, quote, under a chimney, some servant sat, held a piece of roast from dinner in one hand, and carried a mouthful in the other one, which is the saddest statue ever. He's just having his lunch. Why? That seems like that guy worked there. Why freeze him? And that guy makes me sad. The prince and his servants found a feast set out for them in the morning, at noon, and at night. And they're like, well, at least we're well fed. The meals carried themselves, and the wine poured itself. After dinner, the sorcerer brought the queen back in, and he was like, good luck, idiots, and then he left again. And this time they were like, we're for sure not going to fall asleep. Which to me, you should have taken a nap the entire day. But whatever.
Yeah, sleep all day, party all night.
Yeah, but he wasn't prepared for that. They fell asleep immediately. The next morning, the prince woke up and he saw the queen was gone again. And he's like, who could have predicted this? This is terrible. He woke up his servants and he was like, Sharp Eyes, where is she? And Sharp Eyes saw that there was a mountain 200 miles away. And in the mountain, there was a rock. And in that rock, there was another rock. It was a precious stone. And the stone was the princess. Long put him on his shoulders again, and the two made it to the mountain in no time. Sharp Eyes used his cool rock-busting powers to break it into 1,000 pieces, and they grabbed the precious stone that glittered at him.
I'm smashing it!
That's what he says. That's his catchphrase.
That's his catchphrase. His non-copyright infringing catchphrase. I'm smashing it.
I'm smashing it. When the prince got that little precious stone, he dropped it, and the queen tumbled out. Just like before, the sorcerer came in with a sly smile, and then grumbled when he saw the queen. And then a second ring broke open off his belt and fell to the floor, and he led the queen away. What if these rings were holding his pants up?
He's gonna be so embarrassed.
I don't know why I didn't think that when I was writing it, but hilarious.
It'd be really funny if after the third one breaks, he gets petrified.
Yeah.
And then he's just there, like, with his pants falling down, like, oh,
my lord. Okay, at least somebody has to have been petrified while on the toilet.
Have they checked the toilets? I won't lie. When you said there were no signs of life, literally my first thought is I was like, there are no bathrooms, there are no kitchens.
Why did you think that?
Because that's like signs that someone has lived there. I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe.
Also, point of order, trees are alive.
Yeah, but there's no leaves on the trees. They're like dead trees. So, no sign of life. That day, everything was the same as the day before, which means nobody took a nap. After dinner, the sorcerer brought the queen back and looked hatefully at the prince and said, "We shall see who is the stronger one, if you shall win or me." And then he left. And he just walks away, so it's not like a cool exit, but whatever. Max, you need to know. They tried so hard to stay up. They were even like, we're not sitting anymore. There's no more sitting. Sitting is equals sleeping. So they just walked around together.
Sitting is the mind killer.
They walked around for a little while, but then they literally all fell asleep as they were walking. And the queen got away. She's like, these guys are sleepy as fuck.
These sleepy motherfuckers.
The next morning, Sharp Eyes looked around for her and said, "Oh, Lord, she is very far away." 300 miles away, to be exact. Because 300 miles away, there was a black sea. In the middle of the sea, on the seabed, there was a shell. And in that shell, there was a golden ring. And she was the golden ring.
Was the golden ring?
She was the golden ring. Good job. The problem was...
We did that in unison for me.
Oh, yeah, it was a little bit of a delay for me. I'm excited to see which recording matches. The problem was, Max, how were they going to reach the bottom of the sea?
Big shoes.
Big shoes! And that's why this story is called Big Shoes. No, Max, it was Broad's time to shine. Finally, our terrible boy Broad gets his moment.
I also want a t-shirt that says, "It's Broad's time to shine."
And it's just that terrible illustration. Real big. Nobody will wear that t-shirt. It's too uncomfortable. Long put Broad and Sharp Eyes on his shoulders, and he took off. They reached the Black Sea really quickly, and Long stretched his hand out as far as he could into the water, but even his arm wasn't long enough to reach the bottom of the sea. Oh no. So Broad stepped up and was like, "Boys, hold my beer." And then he swelled his stomach as much as he could, and then he began to drink. He drank and drank and drank. In a short time, the water had gone down enough for Long to reach the shell. He took the ring out of it, and then he started to carry his friends back. They're like, "There's no time to waste. We're already running out of time. The sun is coming up." But now, Broad was filled with all that water, and it was really hard to carry him. Quote, "So Long shook him off to the ground in one wide valley. It banged, as if bellows fell from a tower. The whole valley was underwater like a lake all at once. Broad could hardly get out of it." End quote. But they left him, because they had better things to do.
Can we get some respect for Broad?
No, he's drowning. Meanwhile, the prince was back in the castle, watching the sky get lighter and lighter, and he's freaking the fuck out. He's like, oh my god, they're not gonna make it. At last, a single ray of light peeked out over the mountain, and the door opened with a strong bang, and the sorcerer stood in the doorway with a huge grin on his face as he looked around, seeing that the queen was not there. And just as he was in the middle of saying, "It's freezy time," which is his catchphrase, I assume, there was a ting. The window broke into 1,000,000 pieces, and the gold ring crashed in. As it hit the floor, the queen ran out, and she rolled out of it, and she was like all dizzy, and she's like, Jesus Christ. That was a ride. So basically what had happened was Sharp Eyes had seen that they weren't going to make it in time, so he had chucked the ring at the window as hard as he could. And it just broke through. At this, crack, the third hoop on the sorcerer's belt broke open. He immediately changed into a raven, and he flew away, as one does when they're bested in a competition.
Classic.
Yeah, classic. At this, the fair maiden finally spoke, and she thanked the prince for rescuing her. And not just her. Everyone in the castle was alive again. The guy with the dagger continued to swish it in the air before tucking it into his scabbard. He's like, that was embarrassing. Meanwhile, the guy tripping over that step recovered and looked around to make sure nobody had seen it. And then, tried to
play it off.
Oh my god, I kept saying pull it off in my head.
He kept trying to jerk off.
The servant eating the roast beef continued his meal, oblivious to the fact that he'd been frozen for all that time. Outside, horses stamped and neighed, the trees turned green, grass and flowers grew up, even the rivers ran now, and fish jumped in the water. The lords in the castle gathered where the prince was to thank him for all he had done, and the prince said, "Do not thank me. I would be what you have been, but for my faithful servant's long, broad, and sharp eyes. Which, we stand a king who doesn't steal credit from others. That's all I'm saying. That doesn't happen that often.
That's rare.
Yeah. After a little while, all of them made their way back to his father. They stopped on the way to pick up Broad, who I assume was just still in that lake he had accidentally made. They were like, come on. You silly goose. The king wept with joy to see his son again. He had had no faith in him, Max. Soon, quote, the noisy wedding took place, end quote. It lasted for 3 weeks, and everyone the prince had rescued came to the wedding. So it was really packed. After the wedding, Long, Broad, and Sharp Eyes announced that they were going to go off and find work. And the young king now, because he's a king now, he was like, find work? No, stay here. I'll pay, obviously. I'll make you so rich you won't have to do anything. Like, what do you mean go out and find work? Is this, like, passive-aggressive? Are you telling me I should have paid you? I'm gonna. But the three were like, no, we want to go, and you're just kind of making it awkward. It's like over. Let it go. It's not you. It's us, really. It's better this way. It's better for us this way. Okay, bye.
I just really thought we were like on the same page about like commitment.
It's like a little weird that you're
like,
making a big deal out of this now because I made no promises.
I literally was like, I don't know. Like, you were like, are we going to be together forever? And I was like, I don't know, maybe. And like, maybe. You know what I mean? Like,
don't pressure me. And also, you're just being a lot right now. Like, you're married now. Like, let it go. Anyway, the last line of the story is, quote, they have been wandering in the world until today. The end.
Oh my God. Have they done anything else?
I don't know.
Do they have regrets?
None. Okay, so that's Long, Broad, and Sharp Eyes. This book is a collection of Czech fairy tales that have been handed down verbally for generations. And here's a line that I really like, describing why they picked these two authors. Quote, that these fairy tales have not been lost over the years is mainly owing to Božena Němcová, the most important female prose writer in Bohemia, and Karel Jaromír Urban, the nation's most romantic poet, who, like the Grimm brothers in the German-speaking region, collected the treasures of fairy tales and legends of their homeland. So, like, these two really are a lot of, like, most of the reason why we have so many Czech folktales is because of these two people. Karel Jaromír Urban, who is the author of this story, he's a man, which I was surprised at. And he was born in 1811 and he died in 1870. Božena Němcová was born in 1820 and she died in 1862 at only 42 years old. So, and this story that I told you was collected in 1865. And also the illustrator, because I know I talked a lot of shit about her illustrations, and genuinely I like them. They're so consistent and they're so stylized. They're perfect for this book, but they're so uncomfortable. But the illustrator is Karel Hruska and the translator is Renata Peskova. So, that's this book.
Pretty good book.
Yeah, I really liked it. I originally didn't grab this off the shelf. I'm happy that you did. I didn't grab this off the shelf. Oh, by the way, here's a picture of Broad.
Is that his eye?
Yeah, he doesn't look good.
He looks like he's sneezing on the whole world.
He does look like he's sneezing on the world. He's drinking the water out of the lake and his stomach is all stretched out and it's upsetting. Yeah. I didn't originally pick up this book because it said Czech folktales, and I was like, we have so many books of Czech folktales. And then I briefly looked at it and I was like, you know what? We've told all of the stories in here, and it turns out no, we haven't. I was just in a hurry. But like, it has all of the classic ones, you know, like Firebird and Red Fox. I feel like we've told. There's a couple other ones. I'm looking. The Devil and Kate is in it. That was the main one that I looked, was The Devil and Kate was in here.
Is that Catherine Crackernuts, or is that
The Devil and Kate?
No,
is
that's a different one.
No,
I told that one.
Yeah,
she's the she like
actually
weaves or like spins or something like that.
That episode is the next one coming out. I think it's our bonus episode story that you do. No, it's not. It just came out. It was the last one that came out. The Devil and Kate. Kashka.
Katya?
It's not Katja.
Oh, The Devil and Katja.
Yes.
I think that's a different one.
No, that's
no.
Devil
I'm thinking of the one where there's like.
You said it was the opera that they turned into The Devil and Kate.
I'm thinking of a different one where a woman marries a guy and she's really good at like. An older woman marries a guy And then she ends up like spinning and weaving for him with the help of like a Rumpelstiltskin, basically.
Oh, I told that story. It was Bridget and the Devil?
Maybe Bridget.
I can't remember. It's a good one.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Bridget, maybe?
Maybe. And it's not Bridget. It's a whole thing. Anyway, I can picture it in my head so clearly. These stories have routed our brain. That's my story.
That was a good story.
Thank you so much.
I really appreciate that there was a clear hot one.
Which one do you think is the hot one?
Sharp Eyes.
Yeah, Sharp Eyes is the hot one. Maybe the only hot one. All the other ones are upsetting. What really threw me off was the room full of women that the king has like a key to. Obviously, it's like magic mirrors kind of things where he's like seeing the woman that he should. Like, it's like his, I don't know. It's weird.
I agree. And it is very Shrek.
It's very Shrek.
And I really feel like that wasn't as much a part of the story as it should have been.
Yeah, the room full of women. Very strange.
How'd he get all those dames?
How did he get all those dames? All right, so Max, good job.
Yeah, Janey, good job.
Oh, thank you. And thank you for saying that so clearly. And as if you meant to. Guys, if you enjoyed these stories or if you want to look at the pictures, then definitely join us on Instagram at Sort of the Story. Not on TikTok because it probably doesn't exist at the time of this, but we're not going to talk about it. We are also on Facebook. Whatever. If you want to email us, then you can email us at sortofthestory@gmail.com. Go to our website, www.sortofthestory.com, for a full list of all of our tales. You can search by region, you can search by name, and there's links to all the episodes there. If you're like, I want to listen to all of the off topics, you can go to the off topic section and then just go down and click on the links. It's all really organized over there. Go check out the website. Text us at the link below, and we will put it on our stories because we can't answer you back, but it's really fun to have you text us. And leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts because it makes us happy, and I would love to get some more reviews over there. It helps people find us. Makes us seem more legit. And then they get here and they're like, I was tricked. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then we have them. Like, we've got them already.
Oh, we got our hooks in ya. Ha-ha. Okay. And with that, I guess we're going to head out. Max, is there anything you want to say before we leave?
Stay frosty, America.
Freezy time. Okay, bye. Say bye.
What?
Say bye.
Did I not say bye?
No, you said, That's not bye. That's a groan of displeasure.
Bye. Goodbye.
All right.
Good day.
So goodbye from the one who's not mad at you. Bye.
Bye.
All right. And now that they're gone, guys, let's chat.
Now it's just the cool people. Amanda asks, tell us a story? We already did, Amanda.
I mean,
we told her too.
So tired. Also, she asks, what is your weirdest possession you are okay showing us? I'm going to go find something. Do you have something in mind?
Me?
Yeah. Oh, I do have something cool. Hold on.
Shit. Fuck. I guess I gotta go find something then.
Okay. Ugh. So, I have two. One, these are my teeth.
Janey.
I have two. These are my teeth. I've had them since I was 15. And I got braces.
They're not your teeth.
They're my teeth.
Right?
Yeah, these are mine.
Are they your teeth?
Yes.
I didn't know those were your teeth.
Yeah, this is what my teeth look like.
Crazy.
I think that's cool. And they have that little gummy thing. Anyway, what's your weird thing?
This is not the weirdest thing that I own. This is just a weird thing that my eyes landed on when I found out that we were doing this. But I have an impulse purchase of mine that I'll just show you. It's a it's a padlock and it's a fish.
You also got that off of didn't you get that off of Facebook Marketplace?
Amazon.
Oh, okay. I was like, Jesus. Yeah, that's really cool.
Do you have any opinions on Star Wars, Janey?
Yeah, I think Adam Driver is hot in that Star Wars movie. I like the enemies to lovers. I don't have any other opinions, though, and I don't remember anything else that happens. And I also don't think that they actually become lovers, but I thought that was hot.
Did you see any of them except for the first one that they were in together?
No.
Because I didn't.
No. I'm honestly not cool enough for that.
Yeah. I didn't like Adam Driver in those movies, but I love him as a person.
I loved him in those
He
movies.
was good for that character.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think he did a fantastic job in those movies. You didn't like Kylo Ren.
I did not like Kylo Ren. I'm a very empathetic person, but at a certain point, it's like, you are just whining. Like, you're just coming up with things to be mad about.
Here's a pitch. If you are somebody who likes rom-coms, who likes to read smutty books, and who likes Star Wars, all of Ali Hazelwood's books, Love Hypothesis, Love on the Brain, which is the best one, and I think everyone should read it, and the other one, I can't remember because it's my least favorite one. They are all Adam Driver fan fictions about women in STEM who fall in love with Adam Driver, basically. So that's my pitch. Go read Love on the Brain, please. And then read Love Hypothesis. It's not my favorite, but it's good.
Star Wars wise, I watched the original trilogy when I was really little. I absolutely loved it. I had a RuneScape character named Jedi Girl 99. I think that the original trilogy is really good. I think that the sequel trilogy is probably also very good, but if I think about it too hard, my brain starts hurting. Not in like it's too much for my brain to handle, but in like, you know, when a dog eats a lemon, you know.
Sure.
And I was not very media literate for most of my childhood and growing up. So I had a lot of really unique experiences for someone of my like age bracket of not knowing the twist to things, not knowing that Darth Vader was Luke's dad.
Yeah.
Had that one. Fucking blew my mind. Didn't know the twist for Fight Club. Got to watch Fight Club on my own for the first time in high school, and I was like, what? Has anyone heard of this movie?
I actually had, I got to watch both of those things completely blind as well, which is nice. We didn't have social media back then, though. You know, like there wasn't spoilers the way that there are today. Like you could, if your family didn't ruin it for you, the word spoiler wasn't even around. Like, I remember the first time I heard the word spoiler. Like, that was, I think, a 2000s word, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that's my opinions on Star Wars.
Yeah.
Also, I had the biggest crush on Mark Hamill when I was little. I was like, that's just the cutest a boy has ever been.
He was. He's a perfect little girl crush. He
was the prototypical, like, swoopy hair, sad guy. Ugh.
Yeah. He's wonderful. Gay Faye said, I told Max to spill the tea when you rebooted, and she said she only had mimosa, and you said Max is pooping.
Which I wasn't.
Fucking prove it.
Check my butthole right now. It's clean as a whistle.
This stinky rose is clean.
Gay Faye, Ethan, says, favorite form of air transport
is blimp? I don't know. Is that the only other air transport? Flying on the back of an eagle to the moon? Oh, shit.
Hang gliding. Oh, God. She's gone. Bye. My dad has a really bad video of me hang gliding for the first time, and I went straight down, and it was really bad. So, yeah.
My thing just died.
I saw.
Yeah, I lost the whole chat. So, oh no, you all saw that? It's so embarrassing.